There is a particular kind of violence that happens in silence. Not the violence of fists or weapons, but the violence of a man who looks at you and decides, without saying a word, that you do not matter, that your boundaries are suggestions, that your presence is something to be stepped on, dismissed, erased. You have felt this. Maybe it was subtle, a comment designed to cut, a public dismissal, a pattern of behavior that told you exactly where you stood in their hierarchy. And in that moment, something inside you fractured. Not because you are weak, but because you were not prepared. You did not have the tools. You did not understand the game being played. That ends today. What you are about to hear is not a guide for the naive. This is not a sermon on forgiveness or turning the other cheek. This is a manual written in the language of power, drawn from the mind of Niccolò Machiavelli, a man who understood that the world does not reward the righteous. It rewards the strategic. 7 methods, 7 psychological weapons forged in the cold reality of human nature. By the time you finish this, you will not be the same person. You will be someone who understands that respect is not a gift. It is a position you occupy through intelligence, through leverage, through the quiet mastery of human behavior. Let us begin. The first way to handle those who disrespect you is to never reveal that they have landed a blow. This is harder than it sounds. When someone disrespects you, your biology betrays you, your heart rate increases, your face flushes, your jaw tightens. Every cell in your body is screaming for you to defend yourself, to retaliate, to prove that you are not someone who can be treated this way. And this is precisely the reaction they are hunting for. They want confirmation. They want to see that they have power over you. The moment you flinch, the moment you react with visible emotion, you have given them exactly what they came for. You have shown them the wound, and now they know where to strike again. Machiavelli understood that the prince who wears his emotions on his sleeve is a prince who will be destroyed by those who know how to read him. Your face, your body, your tone, these are all instruments of communication. And in the presence of someone testing your boundaries, they must communicate one thing only: absolute indifference. Not the fake indifference of someone pretending not to care, true indifference. The kind that comes from a place so deep inside you that their words do not even register as meaningful. This is not about suppression. This is about reconditioning. You must train yourself to view disrespect not as an attack, but as information. It tells you who this person is. It tells you how they operate. It tells you that they lack the intelligence to engage with you on a higher level, and so they have resorted to the tactics of the inferior: pettiness, provocation, emotional manipulation. When you receive this information, you do not react. You file it away. You make a mental note. And your face, your voice, your posture all remain exactly as they were. Unchanged, unbothered, unmoved. This creates a psychological disturbance in the mind of your opponent. They expected a reaction. They prepared for anger, for defensiveness, for some kind of emotional discharge that would validate their attempt to dominate you. But you give them nothing, and in that nothingness they begin to unravel. They start to question themselves. Did it not land? Did I miscalculate? Is this person operating on a level I do not understand? The answer is yes. You are operating on a level they do not understand, and your refusal to give them the reaction they crave is the first demonstration of that superiority. Practice this in the mirror if you must. Practice receiving insults, criticisms, dismissals, and letting them slide off you like water off stone. Your face does not change. Your breathing does not change. You are a fortress, and fortresses do not flinch when pebbles are thrown at their walls. This is your first weapon. Master it, and you have already won half the battle. The second way is to make yourself expensive. There is a principle in economics that governs all human relationships, even if most people never consciously recognize it. Scarcity creates value. Abundance destroys it. When you are always available, always accommodating, always willing to overlook the small cuts and dismissals, you train people to see you as cheap. Not worthless, but cheap, easy to access, low consequence. And when something is low consequence, people do not treat it with care. They do not treat it with respect. They treat it the way you treat a plastic cup. Use it. Toss it. Forget it. The Machiavellian mind understands this dynamic and exploits it ruthlessly. When someone disrespects you, you do not argue. You do not explain why their behavior is unacceptable. You do not give them a chance to apologize or negotiate their way back into your good graces. You simply withdraw, not with drama, not with announcements. You become unavailable. Your time, which was once accessible to them, is now allocated elsewhere. Your attention, which they took for granted, is now directed toward people and projects that actually deserve it. Your presence, which they assumed was a constant, becomes a memory. This is not about punishment. This is about economics. You are adjusting the price of access to you, and the new price is higher than they can afford. What happens next is predictable. At first they may not notice. They are too caught up in their own world to realize that you have stepped out of it. But eventually, the absence registers. They reach out, and you are not there. They expect your usual response, and it does not come. They look for you in the places you used to be, and you are gone. And slowly, uncomfortably, they begin to feel the weight of what they have lost. Some will reach out. Some will try to re-establish the connection as if nothing happened. This is your moment of truth. Do not rush back. Do not make it easy. Remember, you are not playing the game of emotions. You are playing the game of value. And value is determined by scarcity. If you let them back in without consequence, you have taught them that disrespect is tolerable, that your boundaries are negotiable, that they can treat you however they want, and you will always be there, waiting, forgiving, accessible. But if you remain scarce, if you make them work to earn back even a fraction of what they once had, you recalibrate the entire relationship. You teach them that access to you is a privilege, not a right, and privileges can be revoked. Machiavelli wrote that it is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. In the context of respect, it is better to be absent than present, if your presence is not valued. Make yourself expensive. Let them feel the cost of their disrespect in the emptiness you leave behind. The third way is to let them destroy themselves in front of an audience. Most people who disrespect you are not strategic. They are emotional. They are reactive. They are driven by insecurity, ego, and a desperate need to feel superior. And these traits, the very traits that compel them to disrespect you, are the same traits that will eventually cause them to self-destruct. Your job is not to attack them. Your job is to create the conditions in which their true nature is revealed to others. This requires patience. This requires observation. And this requires a deep understanding of human behavior. When someone disrespects you, they are often performing. They are trying to establish dominance in front of others, to position themselves as clever, as powerful, as someone who can put you in your place. But here is the flaw in their strategy. Performances require an audience, and audiences are judgmental. The same people they are trying to impress are also evaluating them, watching their tone, noting their behavior, forming opinions about their character. And this is where you become dangerous. You do not engage in their performance. You do not give them the conflict they are trying to create. Instead, you remain calm, composed, reasonable. You respond to their aggression with measured words. You meet their pettiness with grace. You become the contrast that makes their behavior look exactly as ugly as it is. The audience sees this. They may not say anything in the moment. They may even laugh along, uncomfortable, unsure of how to respond. But internally, they are making notes. They are seeing who handled themselves with dignity and who did not. They are seeing who remained in control and who lost it. And over time, this contrast does more damage to your enemy's reputation than any insult you could ever throw. But there is a more active version of this strategy as well. You can create opportunities for them to reveal themselves. You do this by asking questions. Simple, innocent questions that force them to explain their position, to justify their behavior, to articulate the reasoning behind their disrespect. Most of the time they cannot, because there is no reasoning, there is only emotion. And when emotion is forced to present itself as logic, it collapses. It sounds irrational. It sounds petty. It sounds weak. And again, the audience sees this. Machiavelli taught that a wise prince does not need to destroy his enemies himself. He simply needs to position them in such a way that they destroy themselves. You are that prince. And your enemies, in their arrogance, in their lack of self-control, will hand you the victory without ever realizing they were fighting a battle they had already lost. Be patient, be observant, let them perform, and let the audience deliver the judgment you never had to speak aloud. The fourth way is to reframe the interaction entirely. Most people operate within a framework they did not choose. They accept the roles assigned to them. They accept the narratives others create, and they spend their entire lives reacting within a story someone else wrote. This is the behavior of the powerless. The Machiavellian mind does not accept frameworks, it creates them. When someone disrespects you, they are attempting to position you beneath them. They are writing a story in which they are the dominant character and you are the one being dominated. If you react within that story, if you defend yourself, if you argue, if you try to prove them wrong, you are accepting their framework. You are agreeing to play the role they assigned you. But what if you refuse? What if you step outside their narrative entirely and create a new one? This is psychological reframing, and it is one of the most powerful tools available to the strategic mind. Instead of defending yourself, you reinterpret the entire interaction. Someone insults you in front of others. The expected response is to insult them back, or to defend yourself, or to shrink in embarrassment. But you do none of these. Instead, you pause, you smile slightly, and you say something that completely recontextualizes what just happened. You might say, "I appreciate your feedback," or "that is an interesting perspective," or even nothing at all, just a knowing look that communicates you are operating on a level they have not yet reached. What you have just done is refuse their frame. You have taken what they intended as an attack and treated it as something neutral, something beneath your concern, something that does not warrant the emotional response they were fishing for. And in doing so, you have flipped the script. Now they are the one who looks overly aggressive. They are the one who seems to care too much. They are the one who appears emotionally unstable. You, by contrast, appear calm, secure, unbothered. This is not about lying. This is about controlling the meaning of the interaction. Meaning is not objective, it is assigned. And the person who controls the assignment of meaning controls the outcome. Machiavelli understood that reality is less important than perception. The prince who controls how events are perceived controls the kingdom. When you reframe disrespect as irrelevant, as beneath you, as something that does not even register on your radar, you strip it of its power. You take the weapon out of their hand before they even realize they were holding it. Practice this. The next time someone attempts to position you as inferior, do not fight within their framework. Step outside it. Reframe the interaction, control the narrative, and watch as their attempt to dominate you collapses into irrelevance. The fifth way is to build alliances in silence. Disrespect rarely happens in a vacuum. The person who disrespects you exists within a network. They have colleagues, friends, family, people whose opinions they value, people whose respect they need to maintain their own sense of identity. And here is where the true Machiavellian operates. You do not attack your enemy directly. You do not confront them in loud public ways. Instead, you move quietly through their network, building relationships, demonstrating value, earning trust. You become someone that the people around your enemy respect, admire, or depend on. This is a long game. This requires subtlety, but the payoff is devastating. When you have positioned yourself as valuable to the people your enemy relies on, you have created leverage. Not the kind of leverage you announce. The kind you hold silently. Like a card you never have to play because its mere existence changes the entire game. Your enemy may continue to disrespect you, but now there is a cost. The people around them begin to notice. They begin to question. Why is this person treating someone we respect so poorly? What does that say about their character? Is this someone you want to be associated with? Doubt spreads like a virus, and once it takes hold, it is almost impossible to remove. Your enemy will feel the shift. They will sense that their social standing is not as secure as it once was. They will notice that people are less enthusiastic in their support, less willing to laugh at their jokes, less interested in their opinions. And they will not be able to trace it back to you because you never said a word against them. You simply built relationships, you simply demonstrated your value. You simply allowed the contrast between your character and theirs to do the work. Machiavelli wrote extensively about the importance of alliances. A prince without allies is a prince waiting to be overthrown. In your context, The person who disrespects you is attempting to isolate you, to make you feel small, to position you as someone without support. But if you have quietly built a network of people who see your worth, their attempt fails. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, inevitably, like a foundation crumbling beneath a house no one realized was already condemned. Build alliances in silence. Let your relationship speak louder than any defense you could ever articulate. And let your enemy discover too late that they were never fighting just you. They were fighting an entire network they did not even know existed. The sixth way is to use their disrespect as information, not injury. This is a shift in perception that separates the strategic mind from the emotional one. Most people, when disrespected, take it personally. They internalize it. They allow it to wound their sense of self, to make them question their worth, to disturb their peace. This is a natural response, but it is also a weak one. The Machiavellian does not take disrespect personally because the Machiavellian understands that other people's behavior is always about them, not about you. When someone disrespects you, they are revealing something about themselves. They are showing you their insecurities, their fears, their need to dominate in order to feel secure. They are handing you a psychological profile, a map of their weaknesses, a blueprint of how they operate. And if you are paying attention, if you are viewing this interaction as data rather than as an attack, you now have an advantage. You know what triggers them, you know what they value, you know where they are vulnerable. This is intelligence. And intelligence in the hands of a strategic mind is more valuable than any weapon. Let me give you an example. Someone disrespects you by publicly questioning your competence. The emotional response is to feel hurt, to defend yourself, to prove them wrong. But the strategic response is to ask, why did they feel the need to do this? What are they afraid of? Often you will find that people who question others' competence are deeply insecure about their own. They are projecting. They are trying to diminish you because your presence, your success, your confidence threatens their fragile self-image. Now you know. Now you understand that this person operates from a place of fear. And fear is a lever you can pull whenever necessary. You do not need to pull it today. You do not need to retaliate immediately. But you file this information away. You add it to your understanding of who this person is. And when the time comes, when the situation demands it, you will know exactly how to move. You will know exactly what to say, what to withhold, how to position yourself to maximize your advantage. This is the difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is emotional. Responding is strategic. Reacting gives power away. Responding consolidates it. Machiavelli taught that the wise prince studies his enemies more carefully than his friends, because enemies reveal themselves in their attacks. They show you their strategies, their weaknesses, their patterns. And if you are wise, you use this information not to wound your own pride, but to sharpen your understanding of the battlefield. Every act of disrespect is a gift if you choose to see it that way. It is a window into the mind of someone who has just made themselves predictable. And predictable opponents are easy to defeat. Stop taking disrespect personally. Start taking it strategically. Let every slight, every dismissal, every attempt to undermine you become another piece of data in the file you are building. And when you finally move, you will move with precision, because you will know exactly where to strike. The seventh and final way is to become so internally complete that external validation becomes irrelevant. This is the end game. This is the final evolution of the Machiavellian mind. Everything else we have discussed, the silence, the scarcity, the reframing, the alliances, the information gathering, all of it is powerful. All of it is effective. But all of it still operates within a framework where you care, on some level, about how others perceive you. And as long as you care, you are vulnerable. As long as you need respect from others, you can be controlled by the withholding of that respect. But what happens when you no longer need it? What happens when your sense of self is so deeply rooted, so internally validated that the opinions of others become background noise? What happens when you reach a state of psychological sovereignty where you are the only judge that matters? You become untouchable. Not because you have built walls, not because you have defeated every enemy, but because there is no longer anything to attack. The part of you that could be wounded by disrespect has been fortified to the point of invincibility. This is not arrogance. Arrogance is still a response to external perception. Arrogance is the ego screaming, "Look at me, validate me, tell me I am superior." What I am describing is something else entirely. It is a quiet, unshakable knowledge of your own worth that does not require confirmation from anyone. It is the ability to look at someone disrespecting you and feel nothing, not because you are pretending, not because you are suppressing emotion, but because their opinion genuinely holds no weight in the economy of your self-perception. Machiavelli wrote about princes who commanded armies, who conquered territories, who shaped the fate of nations. But the greatest conquest is not external, it is internal. It is the conquest of your own need for validation. When you no longer need others to respect you in order to respect yourself, you have achieved a level of power that no external force can touch. You are free. Free from manipulation, free from the emotional leverage others try to use against you, free from the exhausting cycle of proving yourself to people who are never going to see your value anyway. This takes work. This takes brutal self-honesty. You have to confront the parts of yourself that still seek approval. You have to examine why certain people's opinions matter to you. You have to dig into the childhood wounds, the social conditioning, the fear of rejection that makes disrespect feel like a threat. And you have to heal those wounds, not by covering them up, but by genuinely resolving them, by building a foundation of self-worth so solid that nothing external can shake it. When you reach this state, something remarkable happens. People feel it. They sense that you are not playing the same game anymore. The person who tries to disrespect you will find that their words land in empty space. There is no reaction. There is no wound. There is just you looking at them with the mild curiosity you might give to a child throwing a tantrum. And in that moment they realize they have no power over you. None. They can say whatever they want. They can try to undermine you, dismiss you, belittle you, and it will not matter, because you are no longer seeking anything from them, not respect, not validation, not even acknowledgement. This is the final form of power, not dominance over others, but dominance over yourself. Not control of external circumstances, but control of your internal state. Machiavelli understood that the prince who needs nothing cannot be threatened with loss. The man who is complete within himself cannot be manipulated by what others withhold. You are that man now, or you are becoming him. Every lesson in the script has been leading you here, to this moment, to this realization that true power is not about how others treat you. It is about how unshakable you remain regardless of how they treat you. You now possess 7 methods, 7 ways to handle those who do not respect you. Some are external strategies, some are internal transformations. All of them are rooted in the cold, clear-eyed understanding that the world does not operate on fairness. It operates on power, and power is not given, it is taken, it is built. It is earned through intelligence, through strategy, through the relentless mastery of yourself and the systems around you. The weak will hear this and do nothing. They will nod along, feel momentarily inspired, and then return to the same patterns that have kept them powerless. But you are not weak. You would not have made it this far if you were. You are someone who understands that knowledge without action is just entertainment. And you did not come here to be entertained. You came here to evolve. So take these 7 methods, practice them, refine them, make them your own. And when the next person attempts to disrespect you, do not react the way you used to. Do not shrink, do not explode, do not beg for the respect you deserve. Simply apply what you now know, and watch as the entire dynamic shifts. Watch as they realize too late that they have disrespected the wrong person, that you are not who they thought you were, that you are operating on a level they cannot reach. This is your transformation. This is your power. Use it wisely. Use it ruthlessly. And never, ever forget that respect is not a gift the world hands you. It is a position you occupy through strategy, through strength, through the quiet, unshakable mastery of your own mind. Welcome to the game. You are now a player.